You want a free Ted Cruz sucks sign?
Ted Cruz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does suck, right?
Yeah.
He does suck.
Yeah, he does. Absolutely.
It almost is the one thing Democrats and Republicans can agree on in this
Ted Cruz
moment.
sucks.
Absolutely.
Ted Cruz sucks.
We can all come together on one thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Ted Cruz sucks.
Scream.
But seriously,
I love it.
Ted Cruz sucks.
It does. He does. He sucks.
He sucks.
He does.
Yeah.
That's it? All it took to connect with MAGA was to agree that Senator Ted Cruz sucks? Thank you to the good liars. They always do great work. Because clearly, Ted Cruz sucks. And I should have known that him being bad at his job brings people together. Just this past weekend, Casey Musgraves called him out during her song High Horse, saying, "'Cause everyone knows someone who kills the buzz every time they open their mouth. Ted Cruz." She said what she said. At Kat Cardenas added, "You can tell Casey Musgraves is a real Texan by the volume of her hair and how much she hates Ted Cruz." I mean, I already did a video about Raphael being booed by students in Texas. Plus, do you remember my video when I wondered out loud who was the worst senator? What do you mean no? Well, for me, it was between Ted Cruz and Senator Lindsey Graham. But what I want to do today is add another.
We're conservative, so we really are the live and let live party. You know, I really don't care what you do. I really, as long as you're not infringing on somebody else's freedom, as long as you're not harming somebody else. I mean, you go live your life, and that's fine. I'm not going to impose the way I live my life on somebody else, but that is, you're exactly right. That is what the left does, which is what is so annoying about the left. You know, far worse than annoying. But they've got to shove everything down your throat.
Senator Ron Johnson out of Wisconsin, famous for trying to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election by installing fake electors through text messages. Now, this past weekend, he debated Mandela Barnes. Now, it was there where Johnson referred to a federal minimum wage as price fixing, as if providing people with, well, actually less than a livable wage will increase inflation and not corporate greed. During the debate, Ron Johnson tried to clarify his stance on abortion, encouraging people to go to whizfacts.com to see what he says, quote, for the record. So I visited the website and, amongst other things, he says, quote, "I fully support allowing the democratic process in each state to decide what point society should protect that life. I'll leave it to another bad senator to tell you why that's problematic."
States' rights has been used to justify some pretty bad things in the past.
Moving on, this is how Ron Johnson wants to decrease gun crime.
If we want to cut down on crime, the overall macro issue is we need to renew faith, strengthen families, have more supportive communities. Another gun control law just isn't going to work.
I've talked about it multiple times. States with better gun laws have lower firearm death rates. According to Giffords Law Center, Wisconsin has a C- grade on their gun laws, and their rate of gun violence is 15th nationally per Everytown research. Ron Johnson knows he opposes gay marriage. He denies calling Social Security candy and said he wouldn't cut Social Security and Medicare. Okay. He also downplays the insurrection and pretends to love the police. Let's give Mandela Barnes time to address this.
Whenever I see a police officer, I go up to him and I say, "Thank you for your service." And if I have time, I say, "Please don't be dispirited by the loud few who are trying to defund you."
I'm sure he didn't have the same interaction with the 140 officers that were injured during the January 6th insurrection. One officer was stabbed with a metal stake, another crushed between a revolving door, another hit in the head with a fire extinguisher. So when we talk about respect for law enforcement, let's talk about the 140 officers that he left behind.
How did he fare according to your report card, this majority leader?
Mitch McConnell got an F.
Mitch McConnell, I'm sorry, what was that?
Mitch McConnell got an F.
According to your report card, the majority leader in the U.S. Senate. Is that right? It's the same Mitch McConnell we're talking about here?
Same Mitch McConnell. So, and we wanted to be very clear that when we were doing this report card, it wasn't about parties. We're not about parties and politics. We're about truth and representation of the facts. And the facts are that Mitch McConnell voted against the American values and the constitutional principles and the financial stability more than he voted for it. And so he's going to be called out regardless of what party they are.
I feel like people have been saying this for years, but right now it really does appear that the Republican Party as we once knew it is totally dead, and MAGA is here to stay. As this mother points out, the far right is absolutely turning on Mitch McConnell, someone we all thought was the kingmaker, the master puppeteer, the genius behind the GOP for so long. And it's not just voters. This cratering of support for the Senate Minority Leader is happening within Congress as well. Look at him openly disparaging Senator Lindsey Graham's handling of his federal abortion ban announcement.
Will you put this on the floor of the Senate for a vote, or will you commit to leaving this issue entirely to the states?
Well, with regard to his bill, you'll have to ask him about it. In terms of scheduling, I think most of the members of my conference prefer that this be dealt with at the state level.
For context, Graham announced this after McConnell made it very clear he wants abortion legislation sent back to the states. Graham and McConnell were both shrewd, calculating, vicious politicians who initially rode the waves of MAGAism into Washington, D.C. And now it seems McConnell is getting totally left behind. There's even more damning evidence to this growing rift. Here's Donald Trump himself saying that Mitch is officially on his bad list.
And, you know, I was never a big fan, but he turned out bad. To make a statement like that. So I endorsed him, and he ended up going up, and he won easily once I endorsed him. If I didn't endorse him, you wouldn't have him to even be wasting your time talking about. He's not good, and we're going to go through him, and then we'll have to do something. Later on, we'll have to do something with him. We have to put up with him for a period of time, but eventually he'll be gone. He'll be gone.